Fox 32 Chicago downtown studios. Nguyen, Pat the designer, and former Bears quarterback Jim Miller hanging out with you. And man, back-to-back weeks now where this team and Caleb Williams delivers a fourth quarter comeback as the Bears beat the Giants today 24-20. Guys, how does Caleb Williams and this team continue to do this? Jim, I'll start with you.
I'll tell you what, the last two drives obviously were great. You know, what he did, his throws were on point, his scrambles, him rushing for a touchdown, him hitting Roma Dunze. I mean, it was brilliant. You know, we were talking off the air to all the people that are viewing this, and, you know, a lot of times Dan Reeves would script the game to go for the Broncos to get them the ball the last drive of the game. And Caleb, that's kind of how it worked out. You get him the ball, he'll find a way to win. That's what he did at USC, and now we've seen it a couple times back-to-back weeks where the Bears get the ball last, and he's able to finish it. And a great job by the defense in crucial moments late in the game where they need to step up like that last drive. But that's really a nice job by Caleb today.
No, 100%. I thought that today was a day where, you know, you saw the quarterback have a performance you needed to see. I said it last week, but if you were a doubter, this week stamp it. He's a franchise QB. He's somebody who, when you put the ball in his hands in game-winning scenarios, he can drive down the field and get the job done and doesn't feel like it's under pressure. I mean, he seems pretty confident in those moments. He seems like he's not worried about it at all. Like he's like, all right, I know where I need to go with the football. I know how quickly we need to get the ball out. I know where we need to, how much time we have left on the clock, how many timeouts left. He's under control with just about everything, and I love seeing that from Caleb to this point. I mean, like, to me, these are the kind of performances that you need to see top quarterbacks in the NFL have. And yeah, were there moments today where I was like, I'm not seeing what I need to see out of Caleb today? Yeah, 100%. It wasn't a perfect day here. I mean, he threw over 30 times, and the completion percentage is not great. But what you saw when you needed to see it was exactly what you see from guys that are the top guys who get the job done. I love what we saw from Caleb in that fourth quarter there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Caleb Williams now with his sixth fourth quarter comeback game since entering the league. I mean, he has talked about this before, right? He would like to not be in these kinds of situations, but I mean, Jim, he just seems to always thrive. I mean, when you talk about the poise that you are seeing from him, what impresses you the most about Caleb Williams? And we knew, right, this season with Ben Johnson, a big developmental year for him. It's going to be up and down, but in these moments, man, he reminds you why he was the #1 overall pick.
Yeah, I think today, you notice, he did not lose his cool. Nothing went right really the entire game till the last two drives. All right, and that goes from the opening drive that they had, right? They only ran the ball one time their first series of the game.
Yeah.
They did not play well offensively. He was under duress the entire game. But this is the first time for me where I thought he didn't lose his cool. You know, he just kept on going about it, even though they were kind of sleepwalking through the game. Nobody was really helping him out. And fine, he could have jumped guys, he could have got on guys. He didn't. He kept his cool, and then he waited for the moment. And normally that's what he did at USC. He showed up in the moment, and that's what he did for the Bears today. But I love how you phrased it right there, because he did. He kept his poise, and like Pat said, when the times were there to make the plays, he made the plays. I mean, that was really a nice job by Caleb today. You're right. They've got a franchise quarterback. He's just got to continue to polish. You know, Ben Johnson talked about it last week. He's making strides. He's making progress, and that progress is happening. And now I think the light bulb is starting to go off. Now he can start to do great things, and he took another step today forward, in my opinion.
Ben Johnson said earlier this week, right, that the Giants, yeah, they were 2-7 coming into this game, but this is an opponent, right, that you can't overlook, and we certainly saw that today. Yeah. But when I talk about the Bears defense as a whole, on the Giants drive before they went ahead, Montez Sweat and the impact that we saw from him, right, sacked Russell Wilson for a loss of 2 there. Pat, I'll start with you. What did you see from Montez Sweat? This is someone that, by the way, Ryan Poles had some pretty high praises for this past week, saying that he's been pretty happy with how Montez Sweat has been playing so far in these last few games.
Yeah, when I was up there this week, I asked Dennis about Montez, and, you know, he talked about how it took him a little while for him to get himself going and really get comfortable with the system. And I think, you know, you can see that now. There's a comfort in the system knowing, okay, this is where I need to be able to create pressure. In these one-on-one moments, I need to pin my ears back and go. And you haven't had a ton of moments where he's been able to really just say, no matter what, we know we're trying to get to the quarterback because these are passing situations. You've been in very, very difficult games over the last few weeks here. So to me, I think what you're seeing from Montez, sack and a half again today, starting to get those sack numbers up. But the biggest thing was early on, you started to see him improve in that run game as well, becoming a total pass rusher, a total run stopper for this team. Those are the things that you need to see for your highest paid guy on that side of the defense. And to me, seeing that on a consistent basis now, week in and week out, doesn't matter the matchup, seeing him be able to create pressure on the quarterback in multiple different scenarios, I really like how we're starting to see Montez come on late here. The biggest question is the rest of the defense going to start to catch up to that?
Oh, yeah. Want to remind everyone that is watching us right now, especially on YouTube, if you want to join in on the conversation, be sure to leave a comment and a hashtag after the whistle as well. Jim, want to get your thoughts on Montez Sweat?
Hey, I love what I've seen for him. They got to get the guy cranked up out on the other side of him. I think everybody saw earlier in the game, it's a 4th down situation. Joe Tryon, he gets his opportunity to play. They get a 1st down on a 4th down situation. So somebody has to emerge opposite him. Loved how they rotated the interior of the defensive line today. At times, Grady Jarrett was in there. Billings were in there together. They were stout against the run when they needed to be. And I'll tell you what, Charlie Gardner-Johnson, that has been a great pickup. Obviously, Dennis Allen knows him well from his days in New Orleans. He had 2 big sacks today, but Sweat is the guy that's really kind of leading the charge here. I think Grady and him are kind of the leaders. Everybody's kind of following suit. Need some back-end players that are filling in to step up, and Charlie Gardner-Johnson really has been that guy the past 2 weeks. And the guy just arrived here. I mean, give him credit. Had a sack last week against the Bengals, has 2 sacks today in this win over the New York Giants. So it's not just Sweat. There's some other, to me, good veterans that have been around the league that have really made some plays. And today I thought those 2 really shined.
CJGJ, as we like to call him.
CJGJ, baby.
3 sacks so far as a Bear. He's only been here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What did you see from him?
Listen, he continues to make plays. And the question for C.J. Gardner-Johnson was never, could he actually get to the quarterback or could he play the position well? It was always the extracurricular, some of the stuff in the locker room that went down, some of the stuff on the field where he's getting some of the penalties, and teams were kind of like, okay, we're kind of done here. But I love the fact that the Bears are able to take a chance on a guy like this. I think it speaks to a change in culture that has happened up at Soldier Field completely, that they're confident in going out and adding a guy who maybe does have a little bit of a rocky history. But you know what? He's the most talented guy that was on the market for you to be able to go get to replace Kyler Gordon in that spot. You go get him. Not only is he in here making an impact, he's making game-changing impacts. It's not just, hey, we need you to hold down this position until the guy gets back. I said it when we were downstairs watching the game. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is playing himself into a nice little paycheck next season because, again, you see the talent on display. He's always had the talent. It was about the extra stuff, and it seems like right now, at this point, he's simply just locked in on, let me go out here, let me play my game, let me be dominant, which is what we're seeing out of him over these last 2 games. To me, this is one of the biggest additions, one of the saving additions to a very banged-up defense right now.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. This defense is certainly banged up. But, Jim, I want to ask you, if you're Dennis Allen, right, how tough is it for him to make these adjustments when, right, I mean, this whole season so far, dealing with injuries, Jalen Johnson, no Kyler Gordon this week, you lose Dio Odangbo as well. TJ Edwards didn't play his 4th game, I believe, that he's missed so far this season. What kind of position is Dennis Allen in right now? Because I feel like, for one, when you take away the takeaways, right, they've got 20 on the season so far, it leads the NFL. Statistically, man, this defense isn't great.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's banged up, as Pat mentioned. And, these are the key guys. They've lost basically 2/4 of their secondary with Kyler Gordon being gone and obviously Jalen Johnson. So 2/4 of the secondary's gone. The key guy you signed to be opposite Montez Sweat is you want a big defensive end, and Dio is no longer there. And, of course, TJ Edwards. The injuries, he basically has missed. He's played sporadically throughout the year, and now he's gone. And so these are key pieces to the puzzle. The key is you go out and you get guys that somewhat know your system. And Charlie Gardner-Johnson is a guy who does know what Dennis Allen, is what wants to do defensively. And I agree with Pat. He's kind of a different dude, but you don't got to like everybody. You have to be able to work with everybody, if you know what I mean. And he's that type of guy. He's a different type of guy, but he does make a ton of plays. And so the Bears are working with him, and he's working with the Bears just fine because he was the best that they could go out and get. And luckily for them, he's got a past in this system, and it's really showed up at key times.
And let's be honest, in Chicago, we love this guy. Like, these are the kind of players that we love in our history, right? The A.J. Przinsky's, the guys who come in and maybe they don't poke you in the eye, but they got their finger, a couple of inches away, and they force a penalty that all of a sudden you go, oh, that's in our favor. We appreciate that right there. Like, we love these guys in Chicago as long as you do your job well, and that's what he's doing right now.
Obviously, no TJ Edwards today. Noah Sewell today. I feel like a lot of missed tackling. Pat, what'd you see from Sewell?
Not his best day. I mean, listen, I haven't sat there and watched the All-22 yet. The game just ended. But, like, when you look at some of the explosive moments from today's game, I thought that, he could have made that tackle. I believe it was on Tyrone Tracy, where Russell Wilson kind of flips that ball out there, and you're like, oh, that's a 3-yard loss on that play. Bet the defense is going to get off the field here. All of a sudden, you're talking about a big gain and the Giants going down and being in a position to possibly score a touchdown there. Now, Brian Daboll made a very interesting decision, which I think helped the Bears. They're not taking that 12 men on the field and ending up, I guess, not wanting to go for it on 4th down there. That's a big difference in this game right now. But to me, like, you have to fill in, and you don't want to be the guy. This is what J-Mac told me this week. You don't want to be the guy that has to come in for somebody who's in that position, who does that very well, and you're the reason that you can point to and say, that's why there's this hole at this point in this defense. And that felt like, unfortunately, Noah Sewell today. I think he's somebody who has immense talent. I think he's got the speed. I think you just got to get the tackling down, because he's always in position for the play, but he doesn't always make the play. And that, to me, I think is the biggest difference that we're seeing here.
You mentioned Brian Daboll's decision there. I want to read a viewer comment right now from Nguyen Business. Yes, that is actually,
Nguyen.
You know him?
I don't, but I mean,
you're gonna get to know
whose
him, baby.
business is it? None.
But he says declining the penalty at the 1-yard line should be enough to get you fired. Jim, what did you make of that decision, though?
That probably is a fireable offense. It really is. Think about it. They went for it, I think, a total of 5 times today, and that's the one they elect not to go?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you had a chance. And credit to the broadcast, because they pointed it out during the broadcast during the game. It's like, well, what do the Giants have to lose right now? They lost their quarterback. To me, that Brian Daboll, they've been aggressive most of the time, just like Ben Johnson is probably one he should have went for, because the Bears weren't doing anything on offense up to that point anyway.
Yeah.
Make them drive 99 yards if you don't get it at that point. But he elected to be safe, be conservative. But, hey, they only got 2 wins. I don't know why you don't go for it. So could be a fireable offense. They could be cleaning house.
Jim, did it not feel like we were watching? I said this when Caleb went down and scored the first touchdown. They panned to Brian Burns' face. And it looked like so many faces that we saw here in Chicago last season. It was like, we're going to do this again. And I feel like in the NFL, you are creatures of habit. And when you see that things are starting to go down that path, you either believe in it or you don't. The Bears have changed the narrative on themselves this season. The Giants felt like a team that we watched here in Chicago last year, where the second that Caleb scored that touchdown to Rome, everybody kind of looked around on the Giants bench and it was like, here we go again. And I thought that's really where the Bears had them.
Yeah. Well, for the Giants, that's been Jackson Dart. Look what he did until he went out of the game. He got the lead. He kind of gives them their mojo. And that's what Caleb's doing for the Bears. He gives the Bears their mojo. These young quarterbacks, they come in, they've got a lot of moxie. And when Jackson Dart went out with the concussion, I just know from my discussions within that Giants staff, there's not a lot of confidence in Russell Wilson. That was a deflated sideline as soon as Jackson Dart went out of that game.
The Jameis prayer didn't work. That's all. I saw Jameis on the sideline giving a prayer. The Jameis prayer didn't work.
Before we send it to break, want to real quick touch on this with you guys. I mean, the drop passes today, especially on critical 3rd and 4th downs there. Jim, what do you make of that?
Yeah, guys got to step up. Zacchaeus, that today was not his best day. Let's be honest. Rome had a big drop. There were drops all over. Caleb, you look at that first drive, could he have hit DJ Moore? Yeah, probably. They all have things to work on. But as the game goes along, momentum is an unbelievable thing, and how it can just change the attitudes, the personalities, just everybody's mannerisms on a sideline. And once the Bears get it, or any team in the National Football League gets it, you see what they're capable of. So somebody's got to be able to ignite it. During a game when you're kind of sleepwalking through a game, somebody's got to be able to kind of create that mojo and create that momentum. And one play leads to another play, and everything becomes infectious, and guys just start jumping in. It happened a lot later than what everybody thought, because I don't think the Giants are a very good team. But thankfully, the Bears did get it late in that fourth quarter. But they were pretty much sleepwalking. The whole team was up until that fourth quarter, till 5 minutes left in the game.
No, 100%. I thought that this was a rough showing for the wide receivers overall. I thought that there were so many opportunities for you to make plays to help your quarterback out. I mean, we talked about Caleb. I thought Caleb kind of just put the team on his back on that last drive. Some big throws where guys made catches there, but I mean, like, really that final touchdown of him running it in felt indicative of what we saw at the end of that game. To me, the tough one right now is Olamide Zaccheaus, because that's the guy that it feels like is kind of holding the spot for Luther Burden, like kind of keeping Luther Burden from getting more. Like, to me, when I see him make those drops and then you see Luther make a big catch in the clutch later on in that game, those are the times where you kind of go, okay, is now an opportunity for Luther to move up on that depth chart. The biggest thing, though, you have to be able to have some help there from your wide receivers. And I think on both parts, right? Early on in the game, Jim, I don't know how you felt, but I felt like Caleb was throwing bullets. And in Chicago, when it is very cold and you're throwing a football, it comes at you very hard. So, you have to have a little bit of touch on some of those passes. I thought in the second half and kind of in that second quarter there, you saw Caleb giving the guys the passes they needed, and just guys weren't able to bring it in. It was DJ Moore, Rome Odunze had one. Those are the things for me where it's like, once you get all of those little things figured out, that's when this team is going to take that next step.
Want to remind everyone that is tuning in right now, be sure to leave a comment. We see your comments. We'll continue to read them throughout the show, but we need to take our first break here. We've got a new segment called Who's Your Dog? So either sit or stay. We would like for you to really stay with us. Thank you for laughing, Okay, we're back here on After the Whistle in just a moment.
I thought the run game was immaculate today. I'm hype about a lot, if we're being real. I mean, DeAndre Swift, dog. Caleb Williams, dog. Can I get a Ben Johnson, dog? I thought Theo Benedict out there. Dog. Yeah, man, I'm hyped. Right now, this is
I'm waiting for the dap at one point for all of
dog.
this.
I'd like to add one more on top of that.
Jake Moody,
Dog. All right, time now for our news segment called Who's Your Dog, where we show you, or we tell you, who we think was the best in show. Shout out to our producer, Jason, for that. I know, right?
That was well
okay,
done.
Pat, I'll start with you. Who was your dog of the day?
I mean, listen, you got to go CJ Gardner-Johnson in my mind. Of course, Caleb Williams is going to get his love. I'm going to let everybody else, pick who they want to pick. But to me, when I look at CJ Gardner-Johnson, I mean, 3 weeks in here, he's got 2 weeks in here, he's got 3 sacks already. He's getting to the quarterback. He's playing really well in coverage as well, doing everything DA is asking him to do. Like, I can't leave this game without giving him some love. That's my dog of the week. Dog.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. Obviously, he was under duress today, but man, late in the game, we continue to see him just deliver these late game heroics. So my dog of the day is Caleb Williams. Jim, your dog of the day?
This is easy. It's going to be Caleb Williams. You got to light it to ignite it, all right? So, and Caleb ignited everybody when it mattered the most, when the game was on the line. So it goes, my dog is Caleb Williams.
All right, so we've got CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Dog.
And Caleb Williams.
Dog.
All right, and speaking of CJ Gardner-Johnson, let's hear from him in the locker room.
You got to make your opportunities count. Those type of quarterbacks, you see them make guys miss, by the way, how Caleb make people miss. So the defense have a lot of trust in guys like me go after the quarterback and got to get them down so the guys won't cover for long and get off the field.
What's it like being a part of this team right now, finding ways to win football games out here?
I love winning, I guess. Those guys love winning, so it's a great feeling. We all happy. And really, we got to just continue to hone at the details. And so these games out here don't be close. You just got to, like, when you're the dominant team, not saying that we're not a good team. That's a great team, dangerous team. Just when you're dominant like this on both sides, we always got to find ways to, like, play to our standard. But when you're around a great group of people, a great group of coaches that believe in you, people believe in you, I think all that goes out the window when they can see the person and you come in and just adapt and adjust and, like you said, come in and play right away and make an impact on the team.
All right, you just heard there from CJ Gardner-Johnson. I mean, Jim, when you're someone who, you're new, in a sense, new to this team, you joined this Bears team, 2-3 weeks ago. I know you're familiar with Dennis Allen, but what's the difficulty of coming in here and getting adjusted and getting caught up to speed?
Yeah, you feel like an outsider. You want guys to accept you. You certainly want guys to ingratiate you into being a teammate. And the quickest way to do that is, one, to show that you're tough, and 2, that you can make plays. He's done that. He's done that about as brilliantly as you can do. And probably because you're right, Tina, because he's comfortable in Dennis Allen's system and he knows how he calls games, he's able to do it a lot quicker. But for him, guys are going to accept him now. He's a tough guy. He's made a lot of plays. They see his number flying around there on the tape, and now they'll get to know him more. He's a different type of guy. But like I said, you're not going to like everybody that you work with, but you have to be able to work with them. He can ruffle feathers. He wants to win. He says it. He makes no bones about it. And he's going to tell you to your face what he thinks. So he's an outgoing guy. I think his personality, like what Pat said, will be kind of welcomed in Chicago because he goes to the beat of his own drum. But it's all for the benefit of winning. That's what really matters about CJ. So I think good things are to come, and obviously it was needed for the Chicago Bears, and he's made an impact pretty quickly.
Yeah, Bears today defeat the Giants 24-20. They are now 6-3 on the season. Want to read more? Some of these viewer comments. CPO Rules says Caleb is deadly in the fourth quarter, and it's crimson. You dig? I am shocked. CJGJ has been a fantastic addition. His impact is definitely noticeable here.
No, 100%. I think both of those are on point, especially the part on Caleb Williams. I mean, listen, when you look at Caleb Williams in the fourth quarter, it's not just the throws, Jim, that are standing out to me. It's the fact that there's a couple of times in this game where we said, you got to get away from that. That's a set. Oh, wait a minute. He's running down the sideline. Hold on. How did he just get out of that? Like, yes, is it on, maybe the Giants having a defense right now that is struggling, but you were going up against the sack leader in the NFL today, and he was unable to get Caleb Williams down on a couple of those tough runaway plays there. Like, when you see a guy, it reminds me of a player who's one of my favorite players in the league right now in Baker Mayfield. Caleb Williams is just somebody that says, I will do anything to help this team find a way to get a win. And that feels like what you saw in the fourth quarter of this game. There were a couple times where we were like, dang it, we got to get to the next play, figure out what we're going to do to recover from this. he just gained 5 yards. He just gained 10 yards. He just went down and scored us a touchdown to finish that game out. And you know what? I like the fact that he's not sitting there saying, you know what, I'm just going to get the first down and try and figure things out. That run at the end, he could have gone out of bounds, tried to save the clock, done anything. He said, let's put the pressure on them. I can see the end zone. I'm going to do everything I can to get there.
Jim, I'm curious. In a game where we knew that obviously weather was going to be a factor here, it just felt like Ben Johnson called more pass plays and really committing to the run. Were you surprised at that decision?
Yeah, I was surprised, specifically the opening drive. Here,
Yeah.
you know, the Giants come in like the 31st ranked run defense in the league. In the Bears' opening drive, they ran one run play. So, you know, I thought that kind of took me off guard, you know, but maybe they thought, obviously, because the Giants had played bad defensively, that it was going to set up for the pass plays. And then, of course, the Bears started shooting themselves in the foot, not catching footballs and all those kind of things. And then you dig yourselves a hole. So I don't think it went to script. I think they ended up running the ball pretty well. A lot of it due to Caleb Williams and his ability to scramble and evade the pass rush of the New York Giants. So I credit Caleb for really rectifying that part of the game plan as well. You know, he really, you know, what he did, he bailed the coach out in more ways than one today.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I thought that it was an interesting game plan from the standpoint that Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift were running the football pretty well, and you didn't really have Caleb Williams throwing the football as elite. And I thought the throws were on target and were to the wide receivers, but you had guys dropping the football, as we talked about earlier in the game. Meanwhile, you had your running backs having a pretty good game. I was surprised we didn't go more with the run, especially in some crucial situations there after what we saw last week from Kyle Monangai as well. But you know what? Here's the thing. You're putting the ball in the hand of a guy that you feel gives you the best chance to win. That's what I take from this in the fourth quarter of it. And I love the fact that when you wanted to trust him, when you've gone into it, I believe now he is, since 2024, the best at fourth quarter comebacks in the NFL. Since he's entered the NFL, now 6, I believe, is number 1 in the league. So, you know, you're putting the ball in the hands of a guy you can trust. I guess if we're having this conversation about anyone else that we're calling a franchise quarterback, we're probably not saying, yeah, don't give the ball to that guy.
Again, want to remind everyone, keep your comments coming. We see them and we'll continue to read them throughout the show. But, I mean, when you look at right now the schedule ahead for this team, I felt like coming into this game, they really needed to take care of business because guess what? It does not get any easier than this. You take a look here. They take on the the Vikings next week. You got the Steelers, the Eagles, the Packers there, Browns, and then Green Bay once again. Jim, the road ahead, certainly not easy at all.
No, it's not. Those are all good defenses. Obviously, the first two deal with a lot of blitzes. Pittsburgh has kind of dialed it down a little bit since they moved Jalen Ramsey to safety. They're not blitzing as much, and they got the big win over the Colts. But Vikings, nobody blitzes more in the NFL than Brian Flores. So he's got to be ready for blitz teams, zone teams. Eagles are just all 11 are good across the board. They pretty much are going to line up at their 1 yard line to the same defense to their own 1 yard line. So everybody should know what Vic Fangio does. He's a quarter or a quarter half guy. So Caleb's going to get a good dose of everything. But let's see where the Bears are. Now I find myself saying that they are the offensive generated team.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it by today, but last week, and I think they can catch fire and get even better offensively. This is the best they've done in literally the last 5 years. They're averaging about 26.5 points a game. That hasn't happened in quite some time. It needs to be that and more moving forward against these tough matchups.
Well, according to Tankathon, the Bears have the toughest remaining schedule. And, Pat, when you look at the rest of their opponents, out of 8 of them, only 1 has a losing record right now. I mean, when you look at that schedule, which game do you think will be a good measuring stick on where this team is truly at?
Well, listen, anytime you get to measure yourself against the Super Bowl champion, that's going to be the biggest one. But we know what the measuring stick is here in Chicago. How's Ben Johnson going to do in his first time versus a Green Bay Packer team that is going to come off playing Philly here a little, I believe this week, right? I think they play the Eagles. And so, like, you get this sense of, okay, this is where we are versus the rivals. And the most important games in there, listen, over the next 6 weeks, if the Bears go 3-3, I feel really good. Like, okay, we found a way to get something that works versus teams that are winning. But you got to win some games in this division. Like
Oh, absolutely.
you're
They're
0-2 in the
right
division
now.
right
Yeah.
now. You were in a very dangerous spot in the division. You got Minnesota coming in, who's playing a little bit better football here. J.J. McCarthy
McCarthy's back.
seems like he's getting a little bit more comfortable with what's being asked of him. I think on top of that, you've still got Jordan Love that you got to deal with up in Green Bay, and you got one more matchup with Detroit. To me, looking at this final gauntlet for the Chicago Bears, the biggest thing is going to be finding a way to get those divisional games. Would love to see you get one of those wins versus the Eagles or versus the Steelers, especially because Aaron Rodgers is up there. You don't want to send him out with a one more I own you still. Like I think we'd all be sick to the stomach at that. But like it truly just feels like there's an opportunity for the Bears to do something really good in the division here. And as crazy as it sounds, those might be your most winnable games in that spot.
Got another viewer comment here that I'm going to read. I don't think the Bears are going to lose another division game this year, but listen, next week they take on the Vikings. The last time they faced Minnesota, right, it was to start the season. Monday Night Football had an 11-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Meltdown, J.J. McCarthy took over. Jim, what kind of opportunity does this present to this team next week?
I got to be honest, and excuse my language, I'd be pissed if I'm the Bears. If I'm a Bears player, I want payback.
Yeah.
That game was ours, and we blew it. And I want payback, and I think they need to go get the payback they deserve. As for what Pat said, they need a signature win. That would be against Philadelphia. And then I've been saying it all year. The Packers' rush defense is not good. You got to run the ball against the Green Bay Packers. That's why Carolina was able to just go up there and abuse them. They got rid of their two best run stuffers. They traded away the young man to Kenny Clark to Dallas, and they got rid of T.J. Slayton to the Cincinnati Bengals in the offseason. The Bears' running game, and they rushed for 171 today. Again, Caleb was a big part of it. They need to continue running the ball like they did last week against Cincinnati. If they do that, they've got a chance to run the table. It's up to them.
Packers, to me, I feel like they've been consistently inconsistent this year, Pat.
Listen, I told you, I'm not a big believer in the Green Bay Packers this season. I feel like they're a team who got some good wins early on in the season, but it kind of was like it's right there, and you refuse to take this next step.
They play to the level of their competition.
100%. They always play to the level of the competition. They haven't yet become, to me, a dominant team. I think Jim's point about them struggling in the run defense has really been exposed to the entire NFL. And guess what? You got some teams coming up here over the next couple of weeks that run the football really well. Of course, like you said, signature win. Give me a Philly win. Like, if you find a way to beat the Super Bowl champions, like, now we're beating our chest on something serious here. But if we're being honest, Chicago cares about one team, and I think it's a team that the Bears have a lot of advantages against going into this game. Oh, by the way, you still are one of the best teams as far as turnovers in the league. Jordan Love loves to give that football away. We always say, oh, he's only got a couple of turnovers, but those turnovers last week, that interception is one of the worst interceptions I've seen in the last 5 years, and I've seen some rough interceptions in Chicago.
All right, well, stay with us here on After the Whistle, because coming up next, we're going to hear from Bears head coach Ben Johnson. Back here on After the Whistle, Tina Nguyen, Pat the Designer, and former Bears QB Jim Miller. Bears improved to 6-3 on the season. They beat the Giants 24-20. Let's hear from head coach Ben Johnson.
Describe the way that Caleb made plays with his feet in the fourth quarter, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, he looks like a Houdini back there in the backfield because, like I said, that's a really good pass rushing front that they've given a lot of teams fits. I think Burns is leading the NFL in sacks, and so there are times where he's trying to escape and making some things happen. He had a couple throws down the field, but like you said, over 50 yards again rushing for the second week in a row. And I thought in the fourth quarter there we really needed that as a shot in the arm to end up winning that ball game. So credit to him.
And how do you weigh the strong finish, versus putting yourself in that position in the first place?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's. I feel like that's happened a few times for us now, and you know, the good news about it is our guys are starting to. I shouldn't say starting to. They have this belief that we're going to find a way. You know, in the fourth quarter, provided it's somewhat close, we're going to find a way to come out on top of this thing, and it's week in and week out. They're proving that. Now, we'd like to take it to the next step as a football team to where we're up by a score or two in the fourth quarter early on, and we can you know, shut the teams out that way. But that's hopefully next week. You know, we'll take them as they come. But once again, we found a way to win, and that's the most important thing.
You've talked about wanting to be at your best by December, and you said the last couple of games, you know, this hasn't been your best performance, but to be 6-3 despite that, to have that much headway in the standings, what do you think that gives you as far as an opportunity as you're trying to fix things?
Yeah, well, I mean, I see improvement. I can tell you just offensively, this was we talk about playing clean football. I know we made a number of mistakes, and the drops certainly popped up, but 3 for 4 in the red zone. We only had 3 penalties as a team here this week. Those are 2 areas that have really plagued us. Our red zone defense was we held them 1 for 4, you know, and so. Yeah, I do see us still getting better each and every week, even though it might not look that way when you're necessarily watching the game. There's growth. There's growth each and every week right now. So you're right. We got to continue to get better. We got some really good opponents coming up here, and we will be playing our best football in December.
It seems in those moments of improvisation that Caleb seems to be at his strongest. How do you balance allowing him to have that room to improvise, but also staying within the system that you expect?
Yeah, and so that's the more time we spend together. We watch the tape and we go over every play in practice, every play in the game, and he and I are seeing it exactly the same. And so he knows when he should step up and try to just dump the ball down to a check down right away. I thought he did that a couple times here today, and then other times where you know the rush is on him pretty quick, and he's got to do something special. And so that's the unique thing about his skill set is he's got that ability. As a play caller, certainly helps me out because I don't feel like I need to be perfect with these play calls. Like he's gonna make these things right, and so that's the balance, that's the trust that we have as a quarterback and a play caller.
And do you have a package of play calls for those kind of do or die drives? And do you also notice that Caleb's intensity levels up in those situations?
I don't notice anything different about him. I think he's been locked in probably. This week in particular was probably his best week of preparation, just as a whole, you know, from start to finish. And so I feel like he was locked in from the moment I saw him this morning up until that last drive. And so I think he's doing a good job with all that. But yeah, I mean, there are certain plays that we have for certain situations, but more often than not, I'm thinking players instead of those particular plays. Who can we get this ball to that's going to come through for us?
You just heard there from Bears head coach Ben Johnson. Bears have now won 6 of their last 7 games. Ben Johnson calling Caleb Williams a Houdini in the fourth quarter. And he's said multiple times, we will be playing our best football in December. Jim, do you like the direction this is going?
Yeah, I do, because in that, what you just heard from his comments, he is trusting his quarterback. He said it, you saw him, like you mentioned, he's Houdini. So that gives him a lot of freedom as a play caller, knowing Caleb can bail him out. All right, Caleb can make something out of nothing. So that gives him a high volume of plays in certain situations because why? He trusts his quarterback now. Pat said it earlier in the show. He wasn't running to go out of bounds when he knew he could have gotten the end zone. He's thinking situationally. Yeah, he's thinking the risks and rewards of every play. All right, this is going to be the pro, this is going to be the con. And now the coach trusts him. So that's a good thing. That's something that every Bears fan should welcome, the head coach saying that, because now he trusts his quarterback and how he's preparing, how they're seeing the game, and now how he can call plays because he's given his quarterback freedom because he trusts that Caleb could weigh the risks and rewards of what good and bad can happen in every situation.
Pat, final thoughts?
You're in a situation now where you're getting some of those no Caleb, go Caleb moments, right? We saw that before with multiple players in Chicago here. And so it's good to see it with finally a quarterback and one who I thought he showed a lot of poise. Ben said he was the same guy. He was incredibly confident in those final couple of drives there. And to me, if you are looking forward at what could put this Bears team ahead in some of these tough matchups that they're going to have, it's Caleb Williams right now.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, Caleb Williams with his 6th fourth quarter comeback today as the Bears beat the Giants 24-20. Tina Nguyen, Pat the designer, Jim Miller. Guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you here next week because guess what? The Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings. Same time next week.